Hola Madridistas, an occasion that is like none other. Um, a game that is pinned on calendars even before um, a season begins. This is, in fact, the greatest matchup in all of footballing world. Um, People can bring up um, games like the Everton Derby, the Northern Derby, the Milan Derby, the Derby d'Italia, the Del Classica, but none matches up against the sheer heritage and history associated with the meeting of probably the two greatest football clubs of all time. The records speak for itself. It is um, so close that you never know going into a season who is going to actually come up on top. The La Liga records for El Clásico as of last season reads as follows: 76 wins for Los Blancos, 73 wins for Blaugrana, and 35 draws. All throughout this wonderful array of fixtures, some big names, I repeat, big names who have left a mark in the world of football have taken part, ranging from Zubizarreta to Casillas to Coleman to Kubala to Raymond Copa to Ferenc Puskas to Don Di Stefano, Ronaldinho, Cruyff, Messi, Cristiano. The list goes on. And all we can say is that history is about to be reckoned on Sunday yet again. Welcome back.
And we're back. Welcome, everyone.
Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. This is the grand El Clasico preview. Um, I'm sure people are getting used to our very neat framework this season compared to last season, where we used to kind of not have enough time to actually preview big games. But this season, we have strived to actually maintain a level of consistency that we are looking to uh, strive to put into this season. But before we get to the crux of the preview, let's welcome Shubham Joshi and Aniket, who represent the Força Barça podcast. They are pretty new in the podcasting scene, I must stress, and I would request everyone who are watching right now, who will be listening to on even in the audio platforms, to please go and subscribe to their channel and also to their socials, which are all in the description below. Yeah, Shubham, I would leave the floor to you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you so much, guys, for actually having us. It's a pleasure, as you said. We are very, very new in the business. I mean, we are trying. I mean, the thing is, we have been discussing about football like for years, and then the thing is, why not do it online? That's the world of social media, and that's the reason we came here. And as you said, there is no other platform more like bigger than El Clasico. And right now, with exactly the point shared, game shared, similar draw, similar win, it's in the game couldn't have been placed at a better position. I mean, it could have been placed better for us because we just, had a bad couple of weeks.
We'll get into it. I'll also stress the fact that although this seems like a friendly conversation, Shubham, the deeper we go into it, you'll be grilled more than you've ever grilled you have ever been grilled in your life. So just brace yourselves and take
Yeah, I
take
think
it.
we have been bracing ourselves for 7 years now, so it's okay. The game.
Well, um,
So,
like
so also just to point out, actually, for Força Barça podcast, actually, I normally co-host with my friend Aniket, who is actually in the podcast, but somehow, yeah, so he's here. Aniket, so you can
Hey, hello guys.
Right on
Sorry
time.
for running a bit late.
yeah.
how's it going,
Yeah.
Aniket?
Oh, well, everything is going good and well, but
I hope you're not too
looks a little
busy.
bit. I hope so, but it's going to be a busy day for me at work. Yeah,
It's
it's just
understandable.
something.
Understandable. It's
Yeah,
it.
something just happened, so I had to go and attend that as well. Let's see.
Mm. Glad you're with us. Anyway, Aniket, feel free to
Hey,
introduce
thanks, man.
yourself and the podcast too.
So I am the co-host with Shubham, and we do host our podcast. It's usually we publish it on Sundays because the week it's really busy for both of us. So it's usually on Sundays we publish the episode, and on Mondays it go live. So we're pretty much new in the business. We started like uh, months ago. I'm not sure
Okay.
exact date when we started the YouTube channel, but it's really new. So yeah, enjoying
Also, for the
every bit
people
of it.
listening in, please specify where they can actually find you, apart from YouTube. I mean.
Yeah, so the podcast version is available on Spotify. You can search the Força Barça podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, Ghana.com if you're from India,
Nice.
and many more websites like that. And the Twitter handle, Instagram handle goes by the name TFB underscore pod, POD. So
Nice.
everything about us would be TFB underscore POD.
We'll be adding that in the description as well. As of now, I
Yeah,
think the YouTube and the Instagram is on. But
perfect.
yeah, do check out TFP podcast for everything Barcelona. But yeah, since the pleasantries are out of the way, I would like to also, introduce you guys to our esteemed panel. Usual suspects, Farouk and Jacob. How are you guys doing?
All good, man. I'm surprised that we haven't broken into a fight already, but it seems pleasant so far.
Yeah, man, Jacob, I see you with your jersey today, like you're ready for a battle. I can see from that as well.
Yeah, I'm missing the blood spot, the heart-shaped blood spot, but I'm ready for battle.
Yeah.
This is a feeling out process, the exchange of pleasantries and whatnot. So, well, it's about time we get into it. Um, let's start with how things stand on both sides of the divide, right? Before we go into managers and the recent history of the fixture, we should be talking about evolution against revolution, right? Um, Carlo Ancelotti is clearly a manager who somehow was never a candidate for the job, but just happened to be in the right place at the right time and bought in an evolution that was much required to kind of progress the stagnated squad. But I'm hearing some echo. Can you guys hear it?
Yeah, yeah. It's not echo. It's exactly. I think it was from someone's TV or something, but it's all good now.
Yeah, just try muting your thing so that we can find out who the echo is coming from. But it's all good. It's all good. Um, yeah, like I was saying before, Carlo basically came into the squad and kind of made the stagnated squad into something that was similar to how it was shaping up for a few years. But on the other hand, Xavi came in with not much reputation. Obviously, as a manager, he doesn't have the CV yet, but it was keenly looked upon by everybody in Europe, that Xavi is gonna be bringing the sauce to actually catapult Barca back into their old selves. And I remember very well that when I was put forward with the question that how would Xavi fare with Barcelona, I was very skeptical because I somehow, somewhere along the line, saw similarities. Like, I don't know Xavi personally, but it is just his mannerisms and his alliance with Barcelona, which seemed vaguely familiar to how Ole went into the United dressing room. Although I must, stress that Ole and Xavi are completely different in terms of, a footballing scale. But it has gone definitely better than expected, I must say. But still, there are a few baffling decisions that Xavi has made, which I kind of predicted last year. Favoritism for one, loyalty to his former teammates another, which is which is kind of which kind of brings me to the point that it is not exactly revolution, where you when you actually depend upon veterans like Busquets, who is clearly past his prime, people like Sergio Roberto, who has been finished for a few seasons now. You really wonder, all this revolution hype is real or not. I must ask you, Shubham, what do you feel? These are strong sentiments that I share. So just just give me your honest opinion.
Yeah, so I kind of agree with you that it's evolution versus revolution, but as they say, I mean, it can't happen overnight. So first, logically, I mean, the patience has to be there. But I completely agree with you regarding the veterans. For example, I kind of disagree with you on some points. Like I think Sergio Roberto, I never actually thought that I would say this, but he's performing much better than what he has been doing in past seasons, like this, like in last couple of weeks when he
He
was.
was quite solid last night, I
Yeah,
must
yeah,
agree.
yeah. He was gone. I mean, as a Barca fan, I would never expect him to start a game, to be honest. Let alone a Champions League game. Forget about it. But he has been faring quite well. The most important problem, as it has been since last 7 years, is defense. And Sergio Busquets, yeah, he is past his prime. That is true. But it's like that guilty pleasure where you know that you cannot have exactly what you want, but he's still giving something which no one else has in the squad. So it's like it's a very weird relationship right now between Sergio Busquets and the Barcelona football. So I kind of agree with you, but it's not that we don't have players who can not replace, but still, let's say, I don't know, like I don't know have the word for it, but like for example, in yesterday's game, Frankie De Jong when he came up, he actually performed much better than what Busquets was doing in first 60 minutes. So there has to be some change of sequences or change of game style to replace the veterans, as you mentioned. But yeah, I kind of agree with you that Xavi needs to have his total revolution, but I think it will take some time.
What is your opinion on the Carlo Ancelotti evolution on the white side?
So I so it depends. I mean, as you said, when we're discussing the Xavi way versus the Barca way versus the win at any cost way, I think Carlo Ancelotti, he is the perfect one to win you a game, to make all the players happy, to keep a dressing room healthy and like stable. So he is a man that can deliver. But and I think what he has done in last 2 years for Madrid is exceptional. And for example, I think in his first stint he played better football, but in his second stint he is getting better results. So I think his reputation stands for himself, and I think he's one of the best managers right now. But again, as if I wouldn't want him to manage Barca, if you mean that. It's all
Mm,
good, but that the question still is there. he needs to play, or rather, the team needs to play well to win.
Mm. Well, that is the conflict that has always been there with El Clásico, that one side prefers to win and the other side prefers to win, albeit with by playing, expansive, entertaining football. But I would like to slowly go back to that point that you made about Busquets, because I was willing to let that go, but I must admit that Busquets has been way off his prime for a few seasons. I mean, he turns up against La Liga opposition, I must say, where in games most teams kind of sit back and try to soak up pressure. He has the time to actually, play out passes and kind of dictate the game. But his record in major Champions League ties or big games reads for, like grim looking. I mean, a player of his stature shouldn't be, shouldn't be put through this kind of uh, uh, suffering, especially for his age, because it's one thing finding a replacement and kind of balancing out his minutes, but it's a completely different thing where I think his body language, right? His body language and his overall demeanor suggests that he can't perform at the highest level anymore. You know, Busquets actually after last game against Inter last night, he said that it is clear that this will affect us for the Clásico. I mean, surely, a multiple Champions League winner, World Cup winner, a Euro Cup winner, wouldn't be coming out and saying this if he is completely gone upstairs. Would you would you contest that statement?
So, leadership has been a problem for years now. Since Xavi left, Iniesta wasn't a good captain. So that's the biggest thing which has been missing. Puyol, Xavi, and then the old generation went away, and then Iniesta's, and we have been, we know Messi's leadership, and then it's Busquets, and then after that it's PK. So it's terrible, to be honest. But I would like to disagree with you a bit because, for example, the problem with Busquets is, as you said, he's past his prime. That's true. But if you looked at the Barca Bayern game, he was one of the best players. In at Allianz Arena in the first half, he was the one who was stealing all the balls. From Sane and from Musiala. So he actually performs quite well sometimes. But I think for him to perform at that level, he needs to have some good defenders behind him so that he understands that he doesn't have to run back to the ball. And whenever he doesn't have, he completely messes things up big time. That's the biggest problem with him. But yeah,
Mm.
I will believe with you that he doesn't deserve to be a Barca starter and a captain. So that's for sure. He is a good squad player, but yeah, as a starter, I wouldn't start him.
So let me support your claim, Shubham, but I mean, maybe this will be the only time I'll support you throughout the night. So just be careful for that. I was actually, going to counter Sunade's point with what you just mentioned right now. Like, while, like people try to focus on Sergio Busquets because, of the level of the player he is, the caliber of the player he is. Like, it's not Busquets' fault that, Lewandowski decides to forget his shooting boots at home in the game against Bayern Munich, for example. It's not Busquets' fault that, a player like Gerard Piqué, like, it's just like, okay, yeah, let the ball pass and, there is nobody behind and Bayern that comes up. And, the point is, I watched both games, the game you're talking about, the Bayern game and yesterday against Inter as well. To be honest, like, you could see that, Busquets actually is able to still control the game, to be honest, in my opinion. Like, but then the point is that what's happening now is that Barca are being overrun because why they attack so, like, I mean, they commit so much players to attacking, and then what happens now is that then they get overrun, and then the defenders aren't there, as you rightly pointed out. There is no one behind Sergio V to actually be a solid defender to show up. And then what happens is that everyone now be, oh, the midfield is overrun. Okay, yeah, but like the midfield is overrun because Barcelona are a team that plays in a certain way, and that committing players forward, pressing from the front. Obviously, one true ball is gonna break the line. That's the thing. Even Man City, the same way people break down Man City's way, the same way people break down Barcelona. You get one true ball over the top, and the players are true. Where are the defenders? That's the thing. Because in the past, we had Carlos Puyol and Gerard Piqué at his peak as well. So these are things that that also needs to be considered. That the defense is going from, I don't know, like FIFA 11 defense, like World 11 defense, to literally the Championship defense, unfortunately. So that's also something that people need to take into consideration while scrutinizing Sergio Busquets as well.
I mean, you can give out all the excuses in the world to support your argument, but I honestly feel that Busquets has to take a fair brunt of responsibility. But
He has to. Yeah,
you,
that there is
yeah,
no excuse for that. He has to. He must. He's a captain, and
absolutely.
yeah.
I gotta actually ask Aniket this question, since Farooq mentioned of a segue into people who can't defend for Busquets, especially his tired legs. At this point in his career, Eric Garcia, right? Ever since I started watching this kid at City, I used to wonder what made him so special, right? And I genuinely try to give this kid a chance because no matter what team someone plays for, I want to see young players excel, right? Make it at the biggest stages and actually uh, provide people with the reference who are trying to break, into the elite level of our sport. But when Barca went for him, I thought, yeah, there is a slight reasoning to it, apart from the obvious City connection, the Guardiola connection, the Chicky connection, and whatnot. Um, but every time I've seen him in a Barcelona shirt, apart from a couple of games, right, where he has actually looked outstanding, especially his ball retention, his ability on the ball, reading of danger. So someone who is very small in stature, actually managing to outjump some very tall players. Like he has put out a few good performances. So I can't completely shun Xavi's decision at times, but games like yesterday, it goes on to prove that this guy is not cut to play, a starter center back for Barcelona. Your thoughts, Anike?
So I agree with you partially on whatever you said. Like, yes, Eric Garcia, he really is a good player. He has those skill set. He can retain the ball. He is good on the ball with possession, even his passing. He has the vision of the game. He can see whatever the players coming are from. He would take on the attack. But some of his skills, which he lacked, is the most important one, is the defensive skills. The first thing which he does is, I'll tell you one example. It's just the recent match, the last one. Whole game was good for him, no problem. But it was just one mistake he did, and we considered a goal in that one. So it's just one mistake which you could see of him in every match, which leads to goal. But other than that mistake, there is it's a perfect. If you remove that mistake, it's a pitch perfect game for Eric Garcia. That's the whole thing with this guy. Well, of course, he is 21 years old. He is a young talent. He needs to develop on his talent, but these mistakes at this stage, they are not acceptable at all.
Mm.
What Xavi thought while taking this guy could be the young talent and the skill set which he have on the ball as well.
But don't you think it's a bit harsh on him? Because elite managers, what do? When, right, like when you see that a young guy who is being thrust into this, obviously due to injuries, and even when everybody was fit, Araujo used to play right back, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and Eric
Yeah.
Garcia and Kunde used to sometimes pawn
Yes.
it together, or Christensen and Eric Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
But after the game yesterday, Eric Garcia came out and said, "Errors at this level can't be allowed because they'll kill you." I mean, you can realize from the very statement, like this list of quotes from last night's post match
Mm.
interviews. Like it can be a long day looking at this, because it's very clear that the mentality is short. why do you think Xavi, someone who is that commanding, who people will listen to, so many of these guys looked up to when they were, starting out their career, like, why do you think? I mean, the dearth of options is an obvious reason. Like, Kunde injured, Christensen had a recent knock, um, leaving you with PK and Eric Garcia. But don't you think Xavi should be removing people like Eric Garcia out of the limelight, probably giving him, a better platform to thrive on, rather than being put under so much pressure?
Well, I agree with whatever you are saying, but there is a point which I want to add to what you just mentioned. So the dressing room, Barcelona's dressing room, has been in bits and pieces like since many years. We have not won.
There's like two sections of players,
Yeah,
right? Like the South American contingent and the Spanish contingent.
yeah. So the dressing room, it's not a good dressing room, to be honest, because it is always a pressure to carry Barcelona shirt. That's one thing. The other
Mm.
one is that when you have lot many injuries in your squad, in the last match we played with our third and fourth choice of the defenders. It was not the first choice for sure. The central midfielders. So this one also makes. But again, Eric Garcia at such level, it should be expected from him to perform at that level, which he was, because at Barcelona the game starts right from the center back. It's never that the center back is not uh, included in the startup game. So
Mm.
it starts with the center back, it flows through the midfield, and then it goes to the wings, and the magic happens in the box. But since many years, this was not the case. When we had uh, many players like Matthew, he had no skills for that. Semido was on the left wing. We had no skills with that as well. So it has been a lot many changes. There was no defense to be seen. But in the past season, when Xavi took over, he made some decisions, and we were able to see the defense playing as a team, not as individual players, playing as a unit, playing as a team. It's unfortunate that we are suffering with injuries right now, but yeah, that man is working on whatever needs to be done at the club, and I hope this drought ends for him really soon.
I would just like to, add some points to Eric Garcia's performance. And this is what we normally say after every single game where Eric Garcia starts, is he doesn't make mistakes. He makes blunders. So he will have like good 88 minutes, and then there is a flash of, lapse of concentration. He concedes a goal. He only plays in binary level. It's either it's 0 or 1. That's the biggest problem with him. So, and I think whenever he has played with a better center back, he has always performed better. So if it's
Mm.
Araujo or Kunde, he's better because I think he has the mental block that he doesn't, or maybe he cannot be the leader. And with PK yesterday, of course, he has to be the leader. Even if anyone pretends that PK is leader, he's not. So Eric Garcia has to, do something. And I think in that aspect, he completely messed it up. And with Eric Garcia, I think even yesterday, I remember there was a ball from him he gave to Lewandowski, a ground through kind of a thing. It was such an amazing pass. So he has good control over the ball. He has position skills, and even at the beginning of this season, Xavi was even considering to play him as a CDM because he has actually good position skills. But in defense, I think he needs to understand that he cannot have these lapses of concentration. I don't know how this problem will be solved. And another thing is, maybe this will not be solved. It's just my hypothesis because it's been a long time. There is a sense of loss of belief. Like, there is this thing that I think we will discuss about much in detail in the for in during the podcast about this, the mentality of winning for Real Madrid. Exactly, this is like, mutually exclusive thing in Barcelona's thinking, is if something happens, instead of having this understanding that we will go and we will win, they feel everything is chaotic. You just look at their faces, you can understand, oh my god, this is happening, they'll fall. There is no sense of belief, and I think the only solution to have this belief is to win something. And with playing like this, it will be difficult.
Mm. Absolutely, that the mentality aspect has been brought up so many times and has been done to that in my opinion, because um, even when Messi was around, like if Messi, as great as a player he is, like if he can't lift Barcelona, I'm struggling to find uh, names who can actually resurrect you guys. But I was very optimistic
Um,
about your
um,
champion.
Wait, Sunit, before we head into the next topic, we have some comments. So, Urim James, hope I'm pronouncing that right. He says Eric Garcia is Maguire-esque. What do you guys say to that?
Absolutely, 100% in my opinion. I mean, he's a far better footballer than Maguire in every aspect of the game, but his blunders are very similar. Very
But I
similar.
think PK is more of a Maguire, because I don't know if you guys saw yesterday. He almost had, after what he did this, he had almost scored an own goal, and Ter Stegen had to dive in to save it from a corner. So Maguire is PK right now in Barcelona.
I mean, man, Harry Maguire must be turning wherever he's sitting, man. Disrespect this man gets is unreal, man.
I didn't
To be honest,
expect I didn't
I
expect
mean,
the Barca guys to be
Eric Garcia and Maguire are not even on the same level, man. Who the fuck is Eric Garcia? With all due respect, man. Like, I mean, Harry Maguire has been bad, but before then, man, the man was in the team of the tournament, man. Before then, the man went to the semi-final of the World Cup, man. I know he's been bad for the past 6 months or so, but man, I mean, let's put some respect where the respect is due, man. To be honest, that's it. I mean, Eric Garcia
So
is
he's basically
championship level football, man. I mean, even
No,
De Bruyne, to
no.
be honest, I think he's the Morata of defenders.
You are way off, man. No,
He's
no.
that person who has very agents.
Championship football is something
And
mad,
so
man.
the
I
fight
think as
starts.
I said, he's a good. No, he actually has some set of skills, but he just needs to learn some
My
different things.
man,
And as I
man is a
said,
defender, right? I mean, first and foremost, you have to defend first and then play out of the back, right? That's your job. Like your basic job is a defender. Like you're a defender. This is the only job you have.
the
Playing out of the
last
back is the secondary part of the
man,
job.
the last good defender who actually played for Barcelona was Puyol. So it's hard to become a Barcelona centre back, because you just have to
Umtiti for
go.
a couple of seasons was regarded as the
Yeah, but
second coming of
yeah, but
Beckenbauer.
he did not come from Barcelona, La Masia. So
Yeah.
to who comes from La Masia, they are not taught that. They have to go ahead. They have to have like a higher line. So it's actually, I think it messes their mentality, and what football currently is actually not built for these kind of
La
things.
Masia, La Masia is basically DJ Khaled's cover on, suffering from success because these boys, I'm sure, when they look on their walls, they see all these Messis and Puyols and Iniestas. It's hard to live up to them. It's difficult. It's an improbable ask, but yeah, Jacob. Like if you're done reading with the comments, is it done?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, Jacob. So you were listening in on all of this, right? So PK, in my opinion, has so much power at Barcelona that like I have read stuff like he had the ability to decide when he can show up to training, basically go traveling for his business ventures when he was still captain or vice captain or one of the most prominent leaders in the dressing room. Like, do you think all this sort of plays into the mess that is now ongoing at Barcelona?
Well, to be honest, if just judging from his leaked audio recordings, it seems like he has enough power to, change stuff even in the league, not just in Barcelona. So yeah, it is a
Never, right? Yeah.
yeah, it is a messed up power scenario over there, and I feel like Xavi. What do you guys think? How has Xavi handled the PK so far? Uh, I honestly think it's not been done that great. But who else can you start in that place when everyone is injured?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I think if it was Xavi's way, PK would never start a game for Barcelona. He's just starting because there is, for example, he can still go with Chadi, the young centre back who plays for the younger team. But I think he went for the experience, which was a big mistake. But I think Xavi has actually tried to manage things very well, because, as you said, he had like a lot of investment in his time investment, not just money, because it's his money, he can do whatever he wants to, but his efforts and time was quite invested in this cosmos, his companies, and all the media things and whatever. But I think before the season started, there was like a strict talk saying that if you don't focus on football, you're gone. And there are reports saying that he has completely taken himself out of these businesses, and now he's completely focused. So I think so far so good on off pitch, off the pitch, but on the pitch, I don't think it can be better, because there is no time for
Mm,
PK to improve. So the only
mm,
option is that he retires at the end of the season. And as great player he was for us for so many years, with all the respect, but I think more than Busquets, I think it's time for PK just to hang his boots, especially for Barcelona.
mm. Yeah. All this mess indirectly or directly has led to all the failures in Europe. But in La Liga, it looks for a completely different reading, which we'll get into eventually. I want to cook Barcelona for a fair bit more, because this is a chance that I don't want to miss out on. Um, but whenever I go through Twitter or Reddit or any social platform, um, the common sentiment that I always see the most is that this is a time taking process. This is something that this revolution, so-called revolution, has to be done over 2 or 3 years. But this is my question to you guys, yeah, um, to the Barca fan, that if you actually sign people like Lewandowski, people like Kessie, people like Christensen, who have, who has been there, done that, and has the experience at the top level, don't you think that is a bit contradicting to actually think that this is not investment for the now, but for the future?
So the thing is, I think it's still for future, because the squad, you look at last year, when Luke
Mm,
de Jong is starting, or Griezmann is starting, who was like completely off the place, for not last season, but like previous to that. You see that squad, there has to be something right now so that there could be a future. If there is nothing right now, there is no future. So it's intermingled. I mean, of course, there is a
mm,
future for, let's say, Sergio Busquets. There is a right back which has to come. There is, okay, if Balde plays well, he can become a good left back for a few years. But like, there is a big problem on the right back. There has to be a better goalkeeper, because Ter Stegen just got revived this season, but last season there was not much hope, to be honest. So there will be revolution, but for that revolution to at least be on paper possible, there has to be today. And so Lewandowski is in the well, Kessie, Christensen, Eric Garcia, these were free agents, so it's okay. But Lewandowski, Kunde, the players who actually charged money had to come, because they will give a platform so that there is a future tomorrow. And I think it's a big gamble, but yeah, which
this is a
didn't
big
pay
gamble.
off.
Talking about
But
talking about gamble, like 200 million, over 200 million spent via TV rights and whatnot. I don't want to get into the financial aspect of it, because it drives my head through the wall. But it's been going on for like 2 years, and the very fact is that, like what I read is it's not a big amount that is going to put a dent on your plans. But Barca will lose out on more than 20 million on budgeted income, if they don't
yeah,
reach the Champions League knockout stages.
yeah,
And
and that is Mundo Deportivo. The report was by Mundo Deportivo, so which is not reliable. So I think Barca will lose more than 40 million euros. I think,
mm, mm,
but yeah, that's the big gamble they took. It didn't pay off. Somehow they have to generate more assets. I don't think more levers would be an option. Option could be selling some players, which could be very hard. For
yeah.
example, because the only like we have some sellable assets, But again, they have to be the future of the club, not the sellable asset. So it's gonna be a hard tussle. But let's say how the president, tries to manage this. I don't know, Aniket, if you want to add something.
It also says that not even winning the Europa League would cover that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it
I
is
think
it is
winning the Europa League would
Mm.
generate like 40 million euros or something, and reaching quarterfinals would have given like 80 million, or I'm not sure. So they're gonna lose, and winning Europa League is also it could be hard because look at the clubs. There is Arsenal, there is Ajax, Juventus, and like many Champions League teams are gonna look at that money, because everyone wants it. So,
No, but I honestly think Barca can generate a lot of money. So just for example, Shubham, are you single right now?
I am single, no.
See, exactly. So you can take your girlfriend to go to Barcelona, get married, generate income. Camp now.
Well, in the defense of the Livers, I don't know if you guys know it was done by Real Madrid also a few
Oh,
years back. It was Real Madrid. Just for the information, Real Madrid sold not 25% or 40%, 100% of their TV rights for like 10 years in return of some money. So I think media played out a very bad way of what Barcelona did, but it's not some invention. It has been done before in football, in the world of football.
yeah. It's
So
just that Twitter has been around more recently, so it's just a lot of hype around that.
exactly, yeah.
Well, Aniket, if you have something to add.
I mean, sure. What should I say on this one?
I wouldn't put
Poor guy is still thinking about the livers though.
Yeah,
I
like the
wouldn't put in
livers,
yeah.
everyone did that. We got some money, we spent it on, and yeah, we have the team we have right now. If not that, we would have been really uh, messier this season. Like
Yeah, I mean
there would not be many players.
the debt was
Yeah, the
like
debt was
1.3
anyways killing
billion
us.
euros. Yeah, and like all the
Yeah,
wrongdoings of the previous president, there was no other option because the money spent on players was like 158 million euros, if I'm not wrong. So
yeah,
not much has been spent on players actually. It's more to stop the wreckage which was done by the by the previous board.
yeah. Last year we spent around 160, 170 million. We got one or two players, but this season we spent 153. We got seven, eight of them. So I think the board is doing the right thing for the club, and let's hope it continues to do this magic.
Mm. Yeah. One last thing before we actually move into the La Liga matchup. This is a worrying stat. Yeah, Barca has won just two of their last 13 games in the Champions League. Um, those two wins were against Dynamo Kiev and Victoria Pilsen. I mean, that just completely sums up where they are in Europe at the moment.
Yeah.
But
And to add that
um,
stat, the next game is against Bayern Munich, so which is not gonna help the stat though.
it is at the Camp Nou, right? So you have a shot.
Yeah, but then just before the game, Inter will play Victoria Pilsenia. So if Inter beat Victoria Pilsenia, the game is gone. The game is done. The game versus Bayern is useless, and I think Inter will do so because it's at San Siro. So,
Mm. Yeah, Europe. I think it continues to be some sort of a distant dream for Barcelona. Like it is different for us. I mean, I don't want to brag, but it is instilled in our identity that Champions League is something that is of prime importance, and also people can say how they want to with excuses and reasons for our success. Some people tend to turn to the era before the VAR. Some people turn to luck and happenstance, but this really goes to show how well run and how much we as a club strive to achieve European success. But I think it's about time we move into the Clásico and move into the La Liga state of affairs for both clubs. Leaving out the European madness that Barca has been going through for the past 2 years, their record in the league is nothing to scoff at. Um, they have the best goal difference in the league. Just one goal conceded. I mean, I can't wrap my head around it honestly. Kunde and Araujo, I'm pretty sure is a huge part of that. But um, how do you think going into this Clásico, missing so many key players and somehow trying to do a quick band-aid patch up is going to help you, on Sunday?
So El Clasico is a different kind of as a matchup, So I don't think injured players will make it. Okay, it should make some difference because when PK starts a game rather than Kunde, of course it makes difference. But in general, the mentality of it, it's more than logic, So I remember there was a game at Bernabeu when Messi wasn't playing. It was I think in 2019 or something, or 2018, uh, in which Vidal scored, and there was 5-1. So there are some games in which we had no hope, and then we performed like this. Even last season, when we did not have any hope, and there was much of a discussion that we are back, and there was a much of taunting also by Courtois. But anyway, so El Clasico, I think it's a different kind of matchup, and no one can predict what's going to happen. Anything can happen. Carlo Ancelotti can screw on a game when he normally doesn't, and so you never know. So I think, uh, of course, we are not in the best mentality after from what happened in the last game, previous to that game, previous to that game, and previous to that game. So 4 games, 2 games in La Liga. I think it's the same for Madrid that. Like especially against I know Hetafe and Osasuna, you guys did not have a good time as well. So it's the same with Barcelona, that after international break we haven't been playing good football. So that's a big
We
problem.
both can say that,
Yeah,
fuck the
yeah,
international breaks, man. Like it
yeah, yeah,
completely
yeah.
ruins our rhythm and the fitness levels. But let me ask you this question. Again, see, this is something that you should be getting used to, since we'll be doing stuff in the future. But Xavi actually came out and said, let's hope that today's game doesn't affect us for the Clásico in terms of mentality. Do you think a manager of Barcelona should be coming out and saying stuff like that? Like, how do you think the players are going to react in the dressing room listening to it?
Yeah, so in principle, he shouldn't say something like this, period. Because
Absolutely.
yeah, so for example, if a player says that, it's fine, but a captain and a coach shouldn't say that. That's basic mentality.
Mhm.
But again, I don't know. You know, I don't know. Maybe he has some psychology. He just wants to say something in the out, and when he goes back to this dressing room, maybe
That could be true.
maybe he has a story, to go on. So as things look from the outside, he shouldn't be saying something like this. That's for sure. By the way, yeah.
Mm. Well, I honestly think there is a much better way to how Barcelona deal with PR than what they're doing at the moment. But that we can discuss in depth in the future. But yeah, the league standings look pretty great for Barcelona. Let's get into some of their standout players this season. Um, and after that, we'll be asking you guys to mention if you have any shout outs on the other side as well. For me, Balde has been a revelation. I mean, whenever I've seen him, he has been a solid 7 to 8 most games. He didn't have the best of games yesterday when he came on from the bench, but whenever he has started, I've clearly seen why Alba has been dropped, and Balde has been preferred at left back. Lewandowski, you needn't say much. He has been in blistering form, scoring left, right, and center. Um, he's basically literally carrying Barcelona at the moment in terms of goal. Um, and probably the other player that stood out to me would be, Frankie De Jong, um, which many people thought that his career was finished at Barcelona in the summer. He's kind of turning it around. But I want to ask you this question, Shubham. Like, I'm taking this liberty again. That why does people like Kessie and De Jong get way less minutes than Pedri, Gavi, and Busquets? Especially Gavi. I don't understand what is so special about him. He is good, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't have the experience that De Jong or Kessie has.
No, I think Gavi has to be the starter. He is amazing. He is actually good because he has that Arturo Vidal kind of instinct.
Mm.
He goes for it. He
He's a
doesn't
present.
he
I've heard
doesn't
that.
give a shit. Yeah, he has that kind of attitude. He will go for it. It doesn't matter
Mm,
if he knocks you out. He doesn't care. So
mm,
he brings that kind of energy or enthusiasm, or let's say not even enthusiasm, that instinct, that killer
mm.
instinct. He'll just go and slide, in front of anyone. And he has taken like many balls, steals many balls.
But
He's
let me counter that with the fact that I've read some people crying out that like his aggression and his
yeah.
and
So he has a knack of picking yellow cards. So that's the bad.
not just yellow card. People say that it leaves a void, especially for Busquets, who is stranded most of the time, because Gavi is sometimes over aggressive and Gus chasing lost causes. That's what I've read. I'm just asking
Mm,
your opinion on it.
No, I think I'm very happy with what Gavi is doing this season. And the problem with Kessie is he needs time because he's not that.
He was brilliant
He's
when he came on last night.
Yeah, he played as a right back. Uh,
Yeah,
he,
I
he
know, I know,
replaced
I know.
Sergio. Yeah, yeah.
But
I
he
think
essentially on right back, he was basically in their box.
yeah, because
Yeah.
the game was almost lost, so there was no point to defend more. Anyway, I think Kessie will. He I don't think he was bought or he was asked to join Barcelona to start a game. He is a good squad player. So
Honestly, so
yeah, yeah,
Kessie was a rotational option from day one.
yeah. There is no way he is gonna start like at least for few seasons or. He just gives something which normally uh, Barcelona players don't have. But for example, his main advantage is stamina. If he starts a game, he can go on with those legs till 90th minute.
Mm,
Instead, for example, if so that advantage you get when he starts. If he comes on like for 20 minutes, he doesn't give anything. He is that kind of a rash player, to tackle, standing tackle, steal the ball. But yeah, I think he will need some time. I would also ask myself this question from you, that why is Frankie De Jong not playing? And I don't have the answer for it. I don't think anyone has the answer for it. He deserves to start every single game because look at what he did yesterday. As soon as he came on yesterday, the vibe was completely changed. So
mm.
he gives something to Barcelona, which I think we needed. And for me, so before, as you mentioned, Lewandowski has been carrying Barcelona. I think before international break, it was the whole team which was carrying Barcelona, which was the best part of it. And if you just have to pick players, it was mostly Lewandowski, Pedri, and I think Ter Stegen, because he has been solid. I mean, of course, to concede one goal, there is we have to give credit to Araujo and Kunde, but man, he has been blocking balls like crazy, and it has been going on for the whole season. It was like I don't know if you remember like that season where it was just Messi and Ter Stegen. That's it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Valverde had two plans. Go give the ball to Messi, and if it comes to you, Ter Stegen, block it. That was the only plan. So right now he is at that level. He I don't know if you like. I just add a statistic. Right now in La Liga, his save percentage is 95%. So it's
That's insane,
yeah.
insane.
And in last season it was like 70 something. So
Mm.
of
I
course, in a
honestly
season,
thought that Ter Stegen had fallen off, but I think this season he seems to be back to his best, very best.
yeah, but
Uh,
he cannot. For example, even yesterday, if it was just PK and last season's Ter Stegen, we would have lost the game 6-3 or something. you know
Mm-hmm. Inter had so many chances.
Shubham, before you go on, I just want to touch on you talk about Frank Casey, and you said like he was brought in as a rotational player and what is not. I think the point is this, like in my opinion, I don't know if you guys could remember like the season where Barcelona had an anomaly of a midfielder in Paulinho, the Brazilian who came from China. Okay, so the point was that Paulinho was totally anti Barcelona. He was totally he
Yeah,
was
box to
totally
box player.
everything that a Barcelona midfielder wasn't. I think, to be honest, Frank Casey is that kind of player. So I think, in my opinion, Frank Casey should be starting for Barcelona because
Not every game, because you cannot have that,
he
that
doesn't.
in every single game.
The point is this,
It's a
like
good plan B. It's a good
You
plan
are
B.
that's the thing.
underestimating.
That's the thing. Like Frank Casey is not a good plan B. Frank Casey is a fantastic plan A because the point is Frank Casey doesn't just bring you stamina; he brings you a lot of technicality.
Farouk,
He
put some
brings you
respect on
so
Frank Kessie.
much
You are actually comparing him
technicality.
to Paulinho. You're
Only
comparing him to Paulinho that
I
you're
didn't
telling
compare him to
basically.
Polino, man. I just gave you an example that there is always a time whereby a player is totally
But you
against
shouldn't be
what
stating,
Barcelona is.
you shouldn't be saying such outrageous stuff like, Kessie is not a Barca type of player.
Casey
Absolutely
is
not. He is
no, Casey is
brilliant on
not
the
a tiki
ball.
taka player, man. Casey is not a tiki taka player. Casey
yeah.
I have
is
no
So
idea.
not a
that
tiki.
You
that's
haven't
that's
seen
the
him
reason
enough.
he
I have
cannot
seen him
start
enough.
a
I'm
game.
telling you.
Casey is
I'm
for
telling
sure not
you.
a tiki taka player, man.
Wait, hold on a second.
There is
Farouk
no
and
such thing as a tiki-taka player. Kessie is very good on the ball, has
Exactly.
fantastic understanding of the game, has played at least three different positions in midfield. He is silky on the ball.
Yo,
He's
sorry. See, the
as
point is
good
this.
as it
I'm not
gets.
saying that. I said he's a very technically gifted player. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you, like, you can be technically gifted and not be a tiki taka player at the same time. It doesn't necessarily like they're two independent things, man. That's the thing. They're two independent things.
Tiki-taka player and all these fancy terms are overrated. Honestly, if Barca needs to actually wake
Overrated,
up,
man.
they
These
need
people
to
won
use
three. They
players
won
like
three
Frankie de
European. They
Jong,
won two European Championship, one World Cup. Barcelona won. Is it
which
how
was
many
10
big
years
titles?
ago,
How
my
many
friend.
titles?
My friend,
Man,
the
I mean,
landscape
it's
has
not
completely
overrated, man.
changed.
I mean, they have something to show for it, man. They've won something with it, so you can say it's overrated. That's my point here. Like,
You
you can
sound
say
like
it's
my
overrated.
my relatives who used to work in the army. Come on, man, wake up. This is 2022.
okay, but let's look at it from an outsider perspective. So, as a Real fan, Kessie was available on the market in this summer. Would you have taken him for maybe 50 million or 60 million euros
I
for
would
Real
have.
Madrid?
I
No.
wouldn't. I wouldn't because that
I
is
would
too
have.
much money.
I would have because
30,
he's
35,
25. He's
maybe.
25. I mean, if I'm paying 100 million for Chouameni, I would have taken KC for 50, 60 M because he's 25 years of age and that's the next 5, 6 years of football. I would have.
Well,
I'll just add one point. I don't disagree with you, Farooq. The thing is, I don't know if Kessie is a tiki taka player. Like, just for the fact, Suned, for us, it's still not overrated, by the way. So, so with time, we will understand, but he needs time. So he cannot be starting, since in the first season. He might perform exceedingly well. Who knows? But you cannot say that he comes in, in the lineup and he starts because you need to respect Pedri and Gavi because they have been doing that, playing same kind of football for years. So might be
But let me tell
Kessie.
you something. Let me tell you something, Shubham. As good as Pedri and Gavi has been, and Busquets, okay, these three has been the primary midfield triangle, right, for you this season.
Yeah,
As good as they have been in La Liga, my personal humble opinion, like you guys can feel free to contest it, but my personal opinion is that in Champions League on European nights, there is a shift to the way opposition teams, especially European teams, approach the game.
yeah.
So you don't get as much time or space, and you gotta not overcomplicate your plays and just be much more direct. And in my opinion, players like De Jong and Kessie would have helped you to win against Inter, who I repeat is seventh in Serie A.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For for teams like Inter, Inter, Atletico Madrid, or Athletic Bilbao, uh, even let's say Real Sociedad, like who like to tussle and there is who like to tackle. I think Frank Kessie could be an amazing option to start. Frankie De Jong starts for me in my book every single game. I would select him as a CDM with Gavi and Pedri in every single game. But Kessie, should play in such games, like where is when you know that the football is not gonna flow. In such kind of games, Kessie has to start. I agree in this aspect.
Mm. Well, since that is out of the way, the mid since we're talking about midfield, I would like to ask Aniket his opinion about KTM. It's no longer KCM, but Cruz, Modric, and Chouameni. In your eyes, and you can also add in Valverde if you want to, because he sometimes is used as an auxiliary center midfielder. Um, what do you think makes them stick and be consistent for so many years?
So the first thing about KCM is that you have a great player in the form of Modric, and he is your leader in the midfield. He takes on each and every ball, and he is there always to make the way out of it. So Modric is one of the players which takes whole and sole responsibility of your midfield. Second one is Tony Cruz, where whenever you see Tony Cruz on the ball, it's always something surprising he does on the ball. Uh, like and the coordination between these three players in the midfield, it's so amazing that you can't even guess what would be their next step. That's the magic of Real Madrid football, that you are not even able to guess their next step, what it could be and how they could play. It's really amazing to watch them play in the midfield. But sometimes, most of the times, you depend on the counter attack. So that is one aspect of your game as well. Whenever you
Mm.
see a loose ball, many of your players, Vinicius Junior, he'll just take the ball, run down the wing, make that amazing cross, and shoot. That would be goal for you guys. So
Yeah,
the
I think
midfield,
with Modric, I mean, it's amazing to it's actually luxury to have a player like that in the team.
yeah.
So with Modric, yeah, of course. I don't know, like I heard that many of Real Madrid fans were not happy with Toni Kroos recently. Like, what's going on there?
It was it was a point, especially in the first half of last season, where there was a clear dip in his performances, which was due to injuries and that he was taking constant injections to play through it. He wasn't at his best, and he was rightly called out for it.
Okay, so
Um,
let me tell you, the chairman of that party was actually Sunil. Like, he was the founder of the party of, like, Tony Kroos doesn't have legs. If you guys just get any free time, just go back sometime January last year. I maybe, yeah, January of this year.
we
December
are on the same
23rd.
side, Farooq. I don't expect you to snitch, right?
No,
From
I'm
time
just
to time.
telling them, like, because Shubham should know that there is a reason why he's hearing this so much. And Sunil is a very persistent person, so, like, they just kept on pushing their agenda. So you should know where the whole thing came from.
Fair enough, man. You basically hung me out to dry. So thank you again.
But
Uh,
Chouameni has been performing quite well. I have been
yeah,
seeing
so
his like I think much better than what Kamavinga is doing, because Kamavinga was doing quite brilliantly last season, but this season I think he has fallen down the pecking order from Carlo Ancelotti, I guess. Uh,
he can't start games. Whenever Kamavinga start games, I think he he's basically playing it too much in his head, uh, rather than he's playing the occasion. Basically, he just gets intimidated. I don't know why, but last season, if you remember, Kamavinga, especially in his substitute appearances against City, PSG,
yeah,
Chelsea, he was pretty
yeah,
good.
because when he came along in Chelsea City game, the game completely got transformed, and I think
Mm.
Ancelotti was actually very happy with what he was performing and how he was performing. So,
He
but
he yeah.
he
Go
shares the
on.
position with Tony Cruz. Is that so? Or
He does. He plays on the left side like
Hmm.
Cruz. But he has played on the right side. He has played a holding midfielder sometimes. But yeah, like going back to Cruz, Aniket, I think summed it up perfectly. He's someone who has the most chances created in the Champions League since 2009 or something, which is insane stats. But yeah, since the midfield is out of the way, I mean, it is not in categorical order, but um, the young guns, right? Like on our side, we have Vinicius, Valverde, Chouameni, Camavinga, and a lot. You guys have Pedri, Ansu Fati, Gavi, Balde. It is quite exciting to actually watch that. On both sides of the divide, there is a certain youthfulness in terms of the squad. Like if we go back probably 5 to 6 years, that wasn't the case. It was seasoned veterans all across the pitch, right? So it is kind of a transformation, like we discussed, evolution and revolution. But there's one player I need to actually ask you, Shubham, about Ansu Fati. Brilliant on his day. He has been suffering with injuries for quite a bit, and I actually feel sorry for him that he has been out of action for so long. And I know how much of a toll it takes on a player when they are out and able to do nothing about it. But just enlighten me about what is happening to Ansu Fati. And what I saw from him last night as a substitute, I believe, was worrying. He looked terribly off the pace.
So, actually, just before giving an answer, Aniket just texted me that he unfortunately has to go because there is some kind of emergency which happened, so he wouldn't be joining us back. So anyway, so coming back on the point, Ansu Fati has had like many problems, as you said, since like last season. He had a surgery, then he came back. Then in few games when he came back, there was a relapse of the surgery, and then I think he and his entourage, they were not they were very concerned about what the injury, and they went with like a conservative kind of a treatment. So like some like I'm not sure how, or like maybe some physiotherapy or something, I don't know. And it took, I think, months, much like more than what was expected. So he came back, and I think he has created for himself some kind of over expectation, because whenever he came back from injury, he scored in like those 10 minutes, 5 minutes, one assist, one goal. So I think he himself has taken that pressure that whenever I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna do something, and then he will get all the praise. He is talented, but of course he needs to spend some time. And even now he cannot play 90 minutes. There is like maximum he can do is like 45 or 60. And I think also the arrival of Rafinha, coming back in the form for like, not completely in the form, but on and off for Dembele. I think things have actually made really harder for him to start along with his injuries. So I think it's a problem, and also he was not selected for the Spanish national team, as you might have heard, in the international break. So I think he has that concern as well if he will be selected for the World Cup. So I think I don't know how he will get out of that, mentality of that he has to perform, he must perform, that kind of an attitude. But I think as soon as he gets himself out, he has that talent to do marvels.
Mm. Jacob, do you rate Ansu Fati?
Well, I don't expect him to perform in a good level in this Clásico. Well, maybe he does and makes me eat my words. He is a special player, but it will take, like Shivam annotated, it will take him a lot of time to recover and come back into form. But he has all the tools in his play set because he is very calm on the ball. He has good finishing. He's a very fast and smart dribbler. So yeah, I think he has all the tools to succeed. It just matters if he can stay fit and stay injury free.
I want to come to Farouk with this question. Rafinha, um, I always thought he was overrated, but he is constantly trying to prove me wrong, especially at Barca, where he has stepped it up a couple of notches. How how well do you think he has fared so far as a brand new signing this season for Barcelona?
To be honest, I would say like Rafinha is a hot and cold kind of player, to be honest, because I think Rafinha of Brazil, to be, in my opinion, is a world beater, in my opinion, because like the games he plays for Brazil are, I think, world class level. Because even when he was at Leeds, when I watched him for Brazil, I'd be like, okay, how is this guy playing for Leeds, you know? But I think for Barcelona, to be honest, because the thing is this, like, I think Shubham knows best, but like sometimes he plays on the right, sometimes he plays on the left, to accommodate Usman Dembele, and it's similar thing for Dembele as well. And as we've seen also with Rodrigo as well, like it's these like both Dembele and Rafinha find their best position on the right, if I'm not mistaken, Shubham. But then one of them is being shown to the left sometimes, and the other one is being shown to the right. So I think because of this lack of continuity can also be something that leads to the fluctuating form of his as well. So, but I think there's still some levels to hit for Rafinha at Barcelona. But similar to what Jacob said about Ansu Fati, I believe is someone that playing in the right position in the right system. I think is someone that can be a genuine world beater. As I said, I think for Brazil already he's a world beater already.
Rafinha is pretty good. Like you rightly suggested, probably he performs better with Brazil, but I could see clear signs of the world class potential he has, especially against Inter last night. He was a constant threat. But Shubham, I want to,
And then he was substituted out, which was also a decision which I never understood. He himself
yeah.
was so frustrated to get out because he was the one who actually created that chance, the first goal that Barca scored. But again, as Farooq said, it's true that he cannot play on left side. And I've also seen that whenever he starts with Dembele, so he doesn't have the pressure to always dribble. Then he plays well.
Mm,
But whenever
mm,
there is Ferran Torres on the left hand side, and then he has the sole, let's say, job of dribbling because Ferran Torres cannot do shit on at any in any aspect. I think then
yeah,
he
on the
takes that.
topic, come on, give me your honest opinion on Ferran Torres. In my opinion, he is the
I,
most bang average player I've seen in my life.
so I hope you understood my opinion about him in what I said.
But I
I
just
don't rate
want to hear you say it out loud. It's
Yeah, so I
satisfying.
I don't rate him because I cannot understand a player who has played for Pep, who has come out of Valencia ranks, who has played for Spanish national team, who has played for Barcelona for close to a year now, do so bad. It's impossible. It's
Mm.
impossible because uh, I don't know. I actually don't have any logical explanation to understand what he's doing.
Mm. Ferran
Aniket,
Torres.
Aniket has a soft spot for Ferran Torres because he thinks he has the good thing about Ferran Torres that Aniket feels is his positioning, that he always there at the right time at the right place, but then he shoots over the goal. So I don't understand what's the point of having good positioning. But anyway, in the last 2 or 3 games, he has been like found in offside position for quite a long like many times. So I think Aniket is also losing that opinion of him about Ferran Torres.
Fair enough, fair enough. I mean,
So
obviously,
in the
yeah.
Bayern game, when I did not, so I of course I was very sad when we were two nil down, but
Mm.
I got sadder when I saw that Ferran Torres is coming on for Gavi. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I mean, the only hope that we had is also gone now because he plays like it's better to play as 10 men rather than having Ferran Torres and 10 men on the pitch.
Oh wow,
This is
wow.
my
Mm.
yeah. I'm very harsh about it, but it is what it is about Ferran Torres for me.
I feel like wait,
Right.
Ferran Torres's finishing was actually pretty good in Man City. Like what happened? And when he came to you, like one of his quotes, I was just looking it up on Twitter. So he said, "Handler and Mbappe, I think I can compete with them. I know how far I can go." So he did have that potential, to be a good finisher, but I just don't know what happened.
So young player, Eric Garcia also makes a mistake. Makes many mistakes actually, not a mistake, many mistakes, often. But I still have hope for him because what he does, he actually does it well. He lacks something, but I know that with practice and with understanding of Xavi's philosophy, he will get there. I don't have any hope for Ferran Torres. The only hope I have is just send him on loan. He gets back to some form and then sell him, for some money. That's the only thing I would like him to do.
Fair enough, very honest assessment. But since we are on the right wing, I would like to ask you, Shubham, right? how good do you think Rodrigo is?
And he I think changed the game against Manchester City. So I think he is great. But again, I don't think you guys have any other option because Valverde, I for example, I don't like players to play out of position. So I don't like Valverde on right wing. I would like to have Valverde much in the center, or at least like I don't know, but not as a winger. So I would play Rodrigo as a right wing position for Real Madrid because I think he's the best uh, positioned. Can have those quick runs, and also he is quite clinical, also good at crossing. So I think better option. And
Would
I'm a
you
fan
take,
of Vinicius Junior also, by the way.
of course. How can you not be? But would you take Rodrigo instead of Rafinha in your team?
I
It's an easy
I
question.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Fair
I
enough.
might take Vinicius Junior over Dembele, but I wouldn't take Rodrigo over.
You would take Vinicius Junior over Dembele.
That was a might.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Did you just use the word might in there?
Sorry. Yep. So yeah,
Did you just use the word might?
I did use might because Dembele uh, has a has a problem of making wrong decisions. But if he makes right decisions,
Consistency.
he can.
Yes,
His right
last
decisions are
night.
better than most of the players. So
Sir, I will
that's
say this. I will take Dembele over Rodrigo 100%. There is no doubt about that. But uh, Dembele and Vinicius, I'm sorry, for the past 18 months, that's not even a discussion. I like Dembele a lot, to be honest. I mean, even the guys know, like, when we started the season, I told them, like, in my opinion, Dembele might be one of the best players in La Liga, I understand, just because of, as you said right now, his decision making is so bad, and
yeah.
also his availability is also so bad as well. But right now, I think he got a bit fitter. But I'm sorry, like I would never, that's just pure blasphemy, man. Might? No. Nah.
I mean the thing is you need to understand that not every player will will directly get into the Barcelona chemistry. So he might not do well at Barcelona. So I have to think as according to that as well.
I mean, the point now just because they just forget about everything else. These are just two individual players.
Okay,
Dembele
in
and
that aspect it changes, but a team is not just bunch of players. So that's the reason I'm saying.
Okay, all right. Then now I start to get into the Barcelona thing. Because we are Madrid people, we just want to win. It doesn't matter who's on the pitch, just to win and just get on with the business. But then I guess you Barcelona people are quite peculiar with the way you win and the way
I would take both of your center backs happily right now. Not might. Would certainly take both of the center backs. Please take PK from us though.
Let's since you're there, let's talk about the defense. I guess there isn't much to talk about Barcelona's center back pairing, apart from the fact that they're missing their top three center backs at this moment in time. I think Kunde is supposed to make it right on Sunday.
Yeah, yeah. Kunde will
So
come back.
so like, what do you think will be the CB partnership for you on
I think
Sunday?
it will be Eric Garcia and Kunde, and yeah, Balde. Hopefully Balde on the left, and I hope that Marcos Alonso doesn't start.
Hmm.
He's a good player, and I have
He
nothing.
was good. He was
He's
good last.
yeah, he is good. He's much better than Alba. But for example, if I am Xavi, I would start Balde because Balde gives me something which not like Marcos Alonso doesn't give. So,
Mm,
and on the right back, it will be Sergio Roberto, I think.
Sergio Roberto. Yeah. I rate Balde very highly. Like whenever I've seen him, he looks very composed for his age, and it's a very good outlet. Like he is not too shabby with his passing and as his positioning as well. I mean, Balde, um, in my opinion, is the brightest spot in the Barcelona team this season. But give me your honest opinions on our defense. Usually it's Militao, Alaba, Mendy, and Carvajal, but sometimes Rudiger steps in, sometimes Nacho steps in. So, your 2 cents on our defense.
So I will not select Mendy on the left back. I mean I used to rate him quite well, but I think since few games, or like I think this season he's not himself. So I will not select him. I will have Alaba on the left wing, left back position. I will have Rudiger and Eder Militao as centre back, and right back I will have Carvajal. Because Vasquez, as I said, I don't like to play players who are out of position. I like to play players who are actually
But there's a difference with us, if you have noticed on more than one occasion, that whenever players are played out of position, they more often than not give out master classes. Vasquez as a right back has saved our skin on so many occasions that I can't
who
even.
who I did not hear the name. Who?
Lucas Vasquez
Ah,
as a
Vasquez.
right
Okay, okay.
back
Yeah.
has saved us in so many occasions. Nacho at left back has saved us on so many occasions. Playing out of position has kind of become a virtue for our squad. These past few seasons. But tell me honestly, like, did you expect Alaba and Militao to actually work as a partnership? Them basically coming on to replace such a legendary duo of Varane and Ramos, or you could even add Ramos and Pepe.
Mm, so it's actually harsh to compare, because of course Ramos has done something which I think it might take some decades or maybe years to fill his boots. But I think, let's say, yeah, Varane, he has been good and bad, so I think Varane's boots can be filled, and I think Alaba is quite good. He has a knack of scoring, like that of Marcelo actually back in the days when he was excellent. So I rate Alaba very well. But Eder Militao also, I have some issues, like he's on and off. So when he's good, he's rock solid, but then he just leaks. So
He has a mistake enough for
what I
sure.
would do is I would put, like, in a in an ideal world, I would take Rudiger and Alaba as a center back. I would buy another left back, and I would put Eder Militao as a squad player.
I mean, you are being too harsh on Mendy. If you look at the records, whenever Mendy starts, I think it is exceptional. I think with him starting, we have lost maybe like 2 games in 3 years or something. His
Yeah, but
stats speak
yeah,
for
but
itself.
I mean, I don't. So according to stats, I think we might not have lost many games when Luke De Jong played for Barcelona. But not everything goes with stats. So I mean,
Fair enough.
he
I
was
can
a good
respect that.
young player. He was a good young player, but I don't think, like, to start for Real Madrid every single game. I don't think he has that. He may be a good squad player, but I wouldn't start him.
That is definitely a hot take. I'll tell you that because he was one of the biggest reasons we actually won La Liga when Zidane came back for his
Yeah,
second
back in
stint.
the day, he was actually very, very good. But as I said, this season I think he's off completely. And
Mm. I kind of agree with you. Uh, gotta half agree with you. Basically, he hasn't been at his best. But this is some question I need to ask you again. So you have seen Nacho play. You have seen him come in and step in for a plethora of positions. Whenever called upon, he has been solid. So I want to ask you this question: that why is it just Danny Carvajal who gets called up for the Spanish national team? Don't you think Nacho is a far better centre back than Eric Garcia?
I so yeah, I think defensive aspect, yes, but it depends. Maybe I'm not sure how he is on the, like, controlling the ball to give passes. And for example, considering Luis Enrique, I think he might go for a player who is just more comfortable on the ball.
He
So
was
I'm
excellent on the ball. He's very
okay.
good, very good.
Then I don't know. Maybe he sees that if Eric Garcia clicks, he can play for 10 years. Maybe he's thinking of the future in this
Mm.
aspect. But
So you don't think it is clear bias? It
I
is bias. Come on.
I
You got to
I
agree
don't
with me that this is.
no, I have I if it was biased, man, I think you can say about me that I'm not biased. I'm thrashing my own players, left and right. So I think it's not biased at all. But regarding uh Luis Enrique, I don't know. Like, sometimes manager and players don't click. Maybe they had some, I don't know, like, it's hard for me to comment, to be honest. What do you guys
In
think?
my
Like, what do
opinion,
you think? It's just bias,
in my
or
opinion, it's clear bias. I mean, Farouk and Jacob can agree with me. I think because
I mean, the
many
point
people.
is that I mean, it's disrespect, and I don't know. I think anyone outside of Barcelona knows that Eric Garcia is not fit to be a defender. To be honest, anyone that doesn't have affiliation to Barcelona knows this. So the point is that you're comparing him with Nacho. Actually, it's just it's a sign of disrespect, in my opinion. And even I will even go further and say it's a waste of time, in my opinion. So there is no
Mm.
need to have that debate. I mean, it. I don't know, man. I just rest my case. I mean, I can't say anything.
It is biased, but yeah, we move on. We move on.
But I think just to before moving, I think time will tell about Eric Garcia. I'm quite hopeful about Eric Garcia. Uh, yeah, but yeah, time will tell.
I
Let's see.
mean, we were hopeful about Jesus Vallejo as well, but then things happen.
Wait, I'm still hopeful.
Okay, see, he's still hopeful. So, yeah, that's the thing.
From time to time, I forget Vallejo is actually part of the squad. But yeah, thanks for reminding me, guys. But let's talk about the men between the sticks. Ter Stegen has been brilliant. We already touched upon how crucial he has been this season for Barcelona. You said like 95% save rate or something. Your honest opinions on Thibaut and how much of a loss he's gonna be on Sunday.
But he is playing on Sunday.
He is not gonna be playing, in my opinion. I don't think he's gonna be
But
playing.
I just like I guess couple of days before I read that Carlo is counting on him. He said that he'll be starting training on like Tuesday or Wednesday something. So,
He didn't
I
train
think the
today. He
last,
missed the
yeah,
training.
he was training with the group, so I think he will start.
No,
And
he missed the training today, actually.
he missed training. Okay, then
Yeah.
because
yeah.
my reports were a couple of days back. Okay, in that case, yeah, there will be a big loss because Courtois has been solid. Like I think he and not I think everyone agrees on that with me that Benzema and he were the crucial points for you guys to win, all the trophies in last couple of seasons. So it will be a big loss, but again, as I said, in El Clasico, it doesn't matter too much who is playing and who is not. It's just the emotion that plays out, and it's just the aspect that who has better mentality in those 90 minutes.
Mm.
And I think Lunin is he has like not conceded too many goals. I think it was just 2 goals against Shakhtar in 2 games. Against Malaga, you won. Against Osasuna, it was 1-1. So
Getafe. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
sorry, not Malaga, Getafe. I don't know why I
Yeah.
said Getafe.
Um, he has been good, but when Thibaut is actually between the sticks, there is a sort of invincibility about him. He's colossal for us, but uh, that is something that we would reflect upon probably post game. I hope Lunin had a good game. He should be at his best if we want to kind of shut out Barcelona, but it wouldn't be an easy task. Um, Barca has been scoring goals for fun, apart from maybe a couple of games here and there where they have kind of nicked up 1-0 win. But like we can't finish this off without actually reflecting on Barca's dominance in the 2010s when they won like 6 La Ligas, where we won just maybe I guess 3, and Atleti I think twice. But the last time Barcelona actually won the La Liga was in 2018-19. Shubham, like this is not normal for Barcelona.
Indeed, it's not normal. I agree with you. Yeah, so there are many aspects. I think in 2010s, I think we had a solid structure all along. Stable president, stable board, a manager that people trusted upon. There was a change. There was clear understanding of how to play. There was La Masia was also like there are some years when you have a lot of good players, young players, and then there is like a drought for some years. So those times were actually good in all the aspects. Everything came together. I think there were good leadership players, good leaders as Puyol, Xavi, you know, uh, Eric Abidal, they're in every single department of the pitch, on the pitch. Sorry. I think right now there are the problems came like when it, as they say, when it rains, it pours, and this is exactly what happened for Barcelona. I mean, we all knew that post Messi times will be difficult, but the saddest part was the times actually started before Messi left, and
Yeah.
yeah, and so it has been going on for years, and everything came together. Years of mismanagement, bad training. So many reports of players saying that, oh, we did not train. So when players actually signed for different clubs, then they realized, oh, how much training you have to go through actually to play in the
That's
league.
insane. I've never heard that. I've never heard people coming out and saying that they couldn't train or they didn't train.
No, no,
It was
yeah, there are
real.
many players, like let's say Junior Firpo said this, and Emerson, who went to Premier
But
League, Semedo also Premier League, and then there were, I guess, couple of players who went to Italian leagues as well, Carles Perez. So many players said that we were not training under Valverde, we were not training. I think recently Pjanic has said in Sharjah that he couldn't believe what kind of training it was under Koeman. So
mm,
there was nothing physical, and he was really surprised. So at such a professional level, when you are doing so many stupid things, then of course there will be a problem, and this is what is you see, especially against any club who decides to play and want to thrash Barcelona. They just fall apart. So I
mm.
think that is the main reason of not winning, league in last 3-4 years. But I hope this season, now with maybe less competition in Europa League, and maybe they can focus better on La Liga. There is some hope.
But were you surprised by the recent resurgence of Real Madrid in domestic in La Liga?
So I was not surprised because it was a plan all along. I remember that Zidane's press conference that, okay, I'm happy with Champions League, but my goal is to win Spanish League, or the like La Liga, because it's, of course, with all due respect, I'm not giving, I'm not bragging or anything, but it when you play a league, you have to play 38 games, and it's hard. You have to do consistently. So yes, there is a bit of everything you need to win a league. And Real Madrid, I think, it's just focus. It's just priorities. I think they prioritized league, and all the credit goes to probably Zidane, who actually wanted to win that. And I think that's the main reason for resurgence in the league. And
Mm.
also, both things came along. Resurgence of Real Madrid, of course, and then falling apart of Barcelona. So, like for example, last season Real Madrid won not because Real Madrid played well. I mean, just the truth. Barcelona messed up big time, because I remember there was a time when in the final of the season, like at the final phase of the season, saying that if Barcelona win these games after El Clasico, mathematically Barcelona could have won the league, but we lost, I think, 70% of those games. And then Real Madrid won by like 10 points or whatever. I'm not sure about the stat. So I think both of the points helped Real Madrid to have this resurgence recently. What do you guys think?
Mm.
Like, what was the reason? What was the main reason against for Real Madrid's resurgence?
I think it's a shift in philosophy for sure. Shift in priority, like you mentioned. But come on, man, you should be giving us more credit than not
No,
just
I
the.
I will give you credit in Champions League, but I'm just telling the truth. I don't
Even
think.
last season, there was a level of consistency and grit to our performances to actually win the league. It wasn't just Barca slacking. Barca was always supposed to slack after Messi. We all knew that. But unless and until
I
we
think
go,
at a point there was like the difference, or was close
I
to, I
remember
think,
it. I
11
remember.
points or
It
something
is the
when
media
Koeman was
giving you
sacked.
hope last season. I'll be honest with you. It is the media giving you hope that there's a chance for Barcelona. But it all depended upon our season getting derailed. Like, don't you think Farouk and Jacob?
Yeah, man, I think
Yeah,
last season we were super consistent.
What
yeah,
are you guys
because
saying?
we're
It was one of the seasons where there was the team won with least number of points. What are you guys saying? How can you be? Yeah,
Points
when you
isn't
when
everything, in my opinion.
it is.
Points is
How are you
it is
saying that you yeah, you are
because,
saying
in my
consist.
opinion,
For
the level
example,
of performance.
consistency to win a league is like that season when I don't remember which season it was, couple of years before, like when there was like 20 points lead between Manchester City and Liverpool. That is consistency. Or like Bayern, who wins La Liga, or who wins Bundesliga. That is consistency. So
You
last
can't
season,
you can't just ascertain the fact that like you can't basically level it on points gained. Honestly, I mean things were pretty
no,
difficult for us.
I'm saying like a good league is when both of the teams compete on like till the last game, and then you win.
No, man,
The year
it's
before it came down to the last.
Yeah.
Remember?
So yeah, but this is what I'm saying is I did not mention anything about last season. I'm saying last season
I understand.
both
But it's
I'm saying both of the points are playing out for Real Madrid to have this resurgence. I'm
right.
saying that because you cannot say that Barcelona is playing well and on the top of that Real Madrid won the league. No, I mean there you can see the slack in Barcelona's results, and that is also one of the aspects you cannot just avoid that.
I honestly think this is a false perception that Barcelona basically let us win the league. But I'll allow it. I'll
No,
allow it.
I did not say that Barcelona let us win the league. We couldn't. Barcelona couldn't win. Barcelona couldn't win the basic games. And that is one of the reasons for the first team to actually win the league. You cannot say that we won because we won. The second team was trying their best. No, they were not. They were simply not because they couldn't.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I would say though, like the point is this, like you have to also like credit, as Sunaid pointed out, the grit and the consistency that Rio showed. To be honest, like with Carlo Ancelotti, like I think although because in the second half of the season, Barcelona was really good, in my opinion. Barcelona was good in the second half of the season, although the Frankfurt debacle happened as well, and what is not, and you rightly pointed out like there were a couple of games that they could not win. So that's the point. The mark of the champion is that games that you could not win to find a way to win those games. You understand? You have to put in perspective that Benzema was in the form of his life, Vini was something else. So I mean, it's not just down to the fact that it's just about someone is playing or someone is not. If that's the case, then we can go to Barcelona's league wins against in during Zidane's tenure when I think Barca won with 15, 16 points. We can also say like Real didn't play. We could go to Atleti's season as well. Like when Atletico won during the pandemic as well. Like I mean, it was just a one-way horse till I think the last 5 games or something when Atleti starts to sleep up as well. So I mean, you can always try to make that claim, but I don't think that's someone wins the league because someone loses, someone doesn't play or something. No, eventually for someone to win, someone has to lose. But it's not because you want to lose.
Okay. I agree. Okay, I agree. Then what is the reason for resurgence of Real Madrid in last season?
I think one of the most important things that we have to say is that in the previous season, it was Benzema alone. Last season, we had new proponents. As you pointed out, we throw in Kamavinga in games where things are tight. Rodrigo came to.
So in previous seasons, you had Ronaldo. So it doesn't matter.
No, I'm actually trying to pinpoint you, like because
so Ronaldo did not have good seasons before.
No, like what I'm saying to you is that in the seasons before, I think in some seasons with Ronaldo, as you said, like we competed with Barcelona. You understand? There were games that went to the last 3 games of the season when they won, obviously, and there was a monster team of Pep as well. To be honest, in my opinion, I felt like Pep's team was a cheat code. I think no one could have competed with them. That's the thing. There's nothing we can do about that. Like you can only recognize greatness when you see them. So that's one thing.
But even Tito Villanova won the league. Tito Villanova won the league. Tito Villanova won the league with cancer. He was out.
Exactly. Like Tito won the league, but if I'm not mistaken, I think Tito won.
I'm saying the most important problem is you can clearly see it's not just the difference between causation and correlation. It's like Barcelona has been slacking for last 2-3 seasons, and I'm just saying it's one of the reasons, actually one of the major reasons also for Real Madrid to have this resurgence. I think if Barcelona was consistently playing in all 10 seasons, and then suddenly Real Madrid played we won the leagues 3 times in the row, or not in the row, but let's say 3-4 times in the last 4-5 seasons, then I would understand your point.
It's like saying no, but it's like you're saying, hey, if Barcelona gets more points than Real for the last 3 seasons, then Real couldn't have won.
Sorry, I did not.
No, it's like let's say Barcelona. You said Barcelona slacked off, so that in turn was the major cause of why Real was winning. So that is basically like saying
one of the major reasons, of course. Yeah. Like
No,
Inter won yesterday because Barcelona did not play well. Not one. I mean, morally won actually.
no, it's like
So
okay. So imagine there is an exam for 100 marks. It's like okay, I did not fail, but I didn't get enough marks to get a pass mark. It's like saying something like that.
yeah. So but you have to analyze the games like it, man. Like for example, I'll give you an example. Okay. Uh, okay. Let me think. For example, let's say Liverpool. Okay. So Liverpool is not playing well in this season. Okay. In previous seasons, they had like a they reached finals and everything. So it doesn't mean that for example nothing changed for them. There is a bit of problem which is they are facing, and that's the reason other teams will have advantage. And I mean, for example, Arsenal beat Liverpool not because Arsenal is actually doing well, it also because Liverpool is not doing well. So you cannot just mathematically say that, oh no, he won, okay, so he's doing well. There has to be something which is not being done by another club. So I think it's one of the reasons. I'm just saying that.
Actually, I don't agree with that, to be honest, because the thing I think is that if I try to use your reasoning behind stuff, so I'm gonna say that okay, the point is this: Lewandowski is not a good striker, or Benzema is not a good striker. Just the goalkeeper is a shitty goalkeeper, or the defender is a shitty defender. That's the base I'm getting here. It's because the defender doesn't show up. That's why Benzema or Lewandowski or Haaland scores the goal. Like that's the only conclusion I can come to right now. Is that what you're saying? I don't know.
No, I think you are doing it very mathematical. Like for example, Ter Stegen's, for example, let's say Ter Stegen is playing well this season. Not because, so for example, if Ter Stegen is making 10 saves in a game, okay, uh, those saves would matter if the player is actually hitting at his chest or somewhere else when he actually has to do something. You cannot just look at the stats and say that no, he is the best goalkeeper because he saved 10 goals because everything hit his chest. You have to analyze if there is a problem with the striker. Why did not the team score? Because every goal was on his chest. So it was easy for him to just save it. You cannot just say that, no,
So that,
it
actually,
doesn't.
that's what I'm saying. Like, actually, now you're countering yourself. So that's what I'm saying to you. Like,
No, I'm
it
not.
can be a situation whereby, for example, in the Champions League final, there was a chance from Mo Salah. There was a shot in the first half from Sadio Mane. Those were really good attempts. You understand? But it was equally a fantastic finish by Courtois. Sorry, a fantastic save by Thibaut Courtois. So there's a universe that can exist that it can be a
Yeah,
very good
of
finish.
course. I
It
never
can
said that.
be
I never said that. That's what I said. That it's a great
no, I
league to
mean, the
win
point
if.
is that because I try to show you that the fact is that in the past, we've had competitions whereby Barca won the league, Real were 1 point behind, 2 points behind. And then from 17, 18, if I'm not mistaken, then the gap starts to go larger and larger. Because why? Ronaldo left, we were in transition, we were not doing this and we are not doing that, you understand? And then we came back and stuff like this, you understand? So the point is, what I'm trying to say to you is that there is a precedent already there that says that already Barca wins with this amount of points. Real are very close back behind. And then what happens after Ronaldo left or something like that? Then what happened? It was only Benzema, or rather, even then, it wasn't fully Benzema. The next season, it was Benzema. Benzema had no one to help him. We don't have any extra energy in the midfield. So these are the factors that I am pointing out here. That it doesn't matter what Barcelona had done or did not do. These are things that created the situation for us.
I'm not saying that. I started my point with Zidane's prioritization towards La Liga, but
I
I'm
mean, the
saying
point is that
also one of the league.
I'm just gonna quote to you, Lord Stark from Game of Thrones, like everything that comes the word before the word bought is just horseshit. Oh, Real Madrid are in resurgence. What? Barcelona didn't show up.
Okay,
Nice
You
one,
know, this
nice one.
conversation.
we can
See,
just
this
agree to
conversation.
disagree because I actually don't
We'll
agree
get
with
more
many of them.
chances to.
Actually, flesh this out a bit more. This conversation is never gonna end.
Yeah,
But
I can see that.
We can all see that.
but I'm gonna ask all three of you this question. Where do you think the game is gonna be decided on Sunday? What part of the I'll start with you, Shubham.
For our defense, I think our defense is the that redetermining step. It's the weakest link for us. Uh, but I think okay, now I'm saying but it's also an important point, Farooq. But I think what is happening is, as I said, there is a good plan A. Actually, maybe I did not mention in this podcast, but there's a recently in this season, Xavi has plan A, plan B. If his plan A works, it's perfect. If it doesn't work, then his plan B is just giving crosses, which is the same as what Koeman was doing last season, and it's not working. For example, in game like versus Inter at San Siro, Dembele gave like, I'm not sure if it was San Siro or Celta Vigo, but in one of the games, Dembele gave like 24 crosses or something, and most of them did not even reach any Barca player.
Even last night, crossing was it reminded me of Zidane ball. Honestly.
Crossing.
Yeah, so creativity is a bit of problem. So for example, if defense somehow keeps their shit, I think the second point that Barca need to do, or the game will be decided at least for Barcelona, is the creativity that Barca midfield can have. If they can have creativity, I think Lewandowski will be clinical enough tomorrow. But that's the important. That I think defense and midfield would be the game would be decided.
Fair point, Farouk.
To be honest, I'd say I will ask Shubham this: like, who do you think is gonna start for you guys at left back?
Uh,
Right back rather. Let's say.
So actually, when we started our podcast, we used to have this segment saying that predicted lineups. We stopped doing that because our predictions was going so wrong with Xavi, because he goes on with any kind of player. And I've been watching Barcelona for like so many years. We have been predicting the lineups for like decades, not decade, but more than a decade. But for example, I would give two options. One is what I would like, and another option is what is more realistic or what might happen. So I might predict the what might happen is he might go with Marcos Alonso,
Hmm.
and what I would like is I would like Balde to start.
Because I think, like if Marcos Alonso plays, I think that will give a lot of space, in my opinion, for a player like Rodrigo. Because I think we're playing at home, so I might be expecting Rodrigo to start the game. So I think, if that happens, I think that will be where the game could be won, in my opinion. I think that because obviously, like they're gonna focus on Vinicius Junior. Like everyone is gonna focus on Vinicius Junior. That's the thing, you understand? So
Yeah.
that one, might be, the ability of Rodrigo to exploit the space, or if it's Valverde to exploit the space, then give a good delivery into the box for Benzema to finish or whatever, like a good cutback or something like that. But I think that might be a key, battle position in my opinion.
Jacob.
Okay, interesting takes, guys. For me, I'm like, I would be willing to bet on my left board to say that Barcelona is going to play well. They are going to score goals because our defense is leaky. So we need to perform really good up top if we need to take anything away from this game. And one of the keys is going to be the form of Benzema. So I feel like that is going to be the place where the match is going to be decided. If he has a really good game, we are going to win this. But if he doesn't, we are going to struggle scoring goals.
Fair point. In my opinion, especially what was on evidence against Shakhtar in Poland and Warsaw, our pressing was abysmal. I mean, I can understand that there was quite a few players shuffled in and out, and their minds were clearly on Sunday. I can kind of sympathize with them because of that, but our pressing should be much more synchronized if we are going to stand any chance, and I repeat, any chance of getting a win against Barcelona. And whether we like it or not, the onus is absolutely on us to actually get the job done on Sunday, and the pressure is on us, not Barcelona. We are playing at home. The last home Clásico was shambolic, and the crowd is not going to put up with any sort of shenanigans on Sunday, and would expect us to completely take authority in La Liga and actually make a statement. And it's high time we do so. Um, like like what Shubham said, my concern is also regarding our defense, because although I know that Benzema hasn't been firing on all cylinders, I believe Rodrigo and Vinicius and Valverde has enough firepower in them to actually nick a win for us. But if Militao and Alaba are actually caught napping, you're finished. And Lewandowski, we also yesterday, oh my God, the leap he actually got and the power he generated with that header. I actually, fear for Alaba and Militao because they should be at their A game if they want to actually, keep this guy out. And even if they are at their A game, I believe he's going to score. And he clearly looks in prime form, and he is clearly looking better than Benzema this season, which I think Benzema is also closely paying attention to. That there is a clear challenger to the Pichichi, in town in Lewandowski. I'm pretty confident we can deal with Dembele and Rafinha. It is all about Lewandowski and how much how tightly knit we can be at the back. Um, any last thoughts before we go into predictions, people?
Actually, I have a question for you guys. Like, what do you think the last four would be? Like the defensive four, back four.
For us,
Yeah.
see, this is again. I'll give you like how you framed it before. What I would like to start would be Nacho, Rudiger, and Mendy, and Carvajal. But what I expect Carlo to do is basically starting the partnership that got him the Champions League and La Liga last season. Militao and Alaba keeping their places, Mendy and Carvajal, um, either side. Yeah. Any final thoughts before we go into prediction?
I
Nothing from me.
for me, I just hope that PK doesn't start. That's the only final thought.
Sorry, come again. I didn't.
For me, I said the only final thought is I hope PK doesn't start the game. Other than that, I think it's possible. It's doable.
It's doable. I know. And especially when it comes to a Clásico, in recent years, even when we were at the top, this is something that keeps nagging me in my sleep and gives me nightmares from time to time. That when we are at the top of the mountain, there is no other clubs in world football that is affected by each other's performances so much. It is basically two ends of a pole. This has always nagged me that whenever we were at the top, we couldn't thrash Barca 4-0, 3-0. It just, gives me very frustrating times when I actually reflect upon the drubbings I had to sit through as a 10-year-old, as a 15-year-old. It wasn't easy. But at least at this point, when Messi left, I thought, okay, we might be able to do something. But even then, we get thumped 4-0 last season. In my opinion, that was such a big dent in our, otherwise brilliant season. I just expect, the boys to actually do a job tomorrow. So I guess we could just move into predictions now. Shubham, I'll start with you. Opponents, enemies, rivals first.
So I will. I'm sure that Barca is going to concede. So optimistically, I would go for a 2-1 in favor of Barca.
Fair point. Farooq.
I'll go with the reverse of Shubham's. I think we're also going to concede, so I'll go 2-1 in favor of Real Madrid.
Jacob.
I'm going to say both of the teams are going to concede a lot, so I'm going to say 3-2.
In favor of Madrid.
Yeah, 3-2 in Madrid. We're going to win, man. Yeah.
I hope we win. I'm going to go with something special. I'm going to go for a 2-0, not a 3. I was thinking 3-0, but 3-0 is quite far-fetched. But I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to keep a clean sheet. A surprise clean sheet tomorrow. So I'm actually going with a 2-0 win. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up this preview. It has been an absolute pleasure, Shubham, to actually have you. Like again, people, I gotta do some housekeeping. So thank you for all the support. If you're actually listening to us for the first time, or if you're actually new here, don't forget to actually like and subscribe. liking in particular like goes a long way to help us get mesh with the algorithm much more. And yeah, like humbled by all the constant support throughout this year. And don't forget to check out the Forza Barça podcast. The links are in the description. Like we'll be updating the description with the Twitter as well. So yeah, check them out for everything Barcelona. They're fairly new, so yeah, please show them some love. And hopefully, me and Shubham were actually discussing about kind of a rival watch thing where we discuss stuff about both fans. I mean, both situations across the divide, and also in general about the big European clubs. So yeah, keep an eye out for it. Hopefully, we'll be getting that underway soon enough. Also, check out our partners on Instagram, Real Madrid Committee. They have been with us through this journey, throughout this journey, all along. Check them out. Link is in the description. Also, check out Memento Madridismo. They're our official partners on the Reines Blancas podcast, where we cover everything femenino. Well, with that out of the way, Hala Madrid. Let's do this on Sunday.
Hala Madrid.
Força Barça. But thank you so much, guys, for having me. It was a pleasure.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, Shu.
Yeah, let's do it more often. So good night to everyone.
Of course.